land. It's not. It's the law of the sea. The Supreme Court has no jurisdiction on the land whatsoever, except because people falsely believe they do. That gives them the power. And that is why we have to educate people in common law grand juries to understand the people have the power, not the government.
Yeah.
Now, I have taken an oath, and an oath is basically you get 3 signatures, you get your bond, and you put up your bond, and what we did was we notified the state corporate Secretary of State.
Yeah.
We sent a copy to the Secretary of State of the federal group, corporation, and we recorded it into public record using their system. Now, none of those people sent back or contested that this is BS or you can't do that or anything. Not with Judge.
They can't because
Judge Doucette. You know Judge Doucette?
I do not.
Okay, well, I'm surprised. He's been a very, very high profile constitutional judge. Judge Anna also. All 3 of us have the exact same credits.
Right.
Authorization and jurisdiction. And the difference is we have lawful jurisdiction. We do not have legal jurisdiction.
Right.
So we cannot go into their court and say, I am a judge of your court. We cannot do that.
Right. Right.
Because that is not our jurisdiction. But because we have lawful jurisdiction, we have more jurisdiction than they do because they don't have land jurisdiction.
See, that's one of the things I've been trying to hit home before talking about what we're talking about right now, is that people submit to their jurisdiction as soon as they walk into the court and they ask, how do you plead? And of course, what happens as soon as you open yourself up to that, you've just now granted them jurisdiction where they didn't have jurisdiction before. And
that's exactly.
Yeah,
and that is why let's see, who was it? John Marshall, the Supreme Court.
Right.
Now, there's a difference between Superior Court and Supreme Court. Supreme Court is their court. Superior Court is land court.
Right.
And yes, as soon as you anyway, the Supreme Court judge says there is no man or woman incarcerated that has not consented.
Right.
And nobody seems to understand. You have to consent to their jurisdiction, and they will trick you into that consent.
Yep.
But nobody should be even going into their court whatsoever because they don't really have jurisdiction. But they do have the guns.
Right.
And they do have propaganda, and they do have the people who believe it because that's all they know. They've been taught, well, that is the truth, therefore it must be the truth. No, they were taught a lie, and they think the lie is the truth. And that's what we're up against. Well, that's what we're trying to break through to people, that you have been taught a lie for over 100 years, especially a lie. And we're trying to get people to wake up that the people created the fiction. The live people do not have to have a license to cut hair. A live person does not have to have a license to drive their private automobile on a road or highway that was paid and created by the tax money they pay. They do not have to get permission from the government to live on their property or what they can do on their property.
Well,
and people don't understand it.
How about ownership? I've been trying to tell people about, when you go purchase a car brand new at the car lot and try to go ask them for the pink slip to the car. They're going to tell you they can't give it to you. It's got to be sent to the state, and the state sends you a copy of the pink slip. And there can only be one reason for that. Because you never owned it. You don't own it.
Well, you are forced to voluntarily, I like that, force voluntarily, to give up ownership of your car to the state.
Yeah. And then you pay a user fee.
And actually, by law, well, I don't know about by law, but I don't believe there is no law that forces you to do that. It is just brainwashing assumption.
Yeah.
People think, well, the state said we have to do it. Well, show me the law. They can't.
Right.
Oh, well, we can't do that because we don't want to get in trouble with the state because they'll come down on us. Well, okay, they're operating on fear now.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, what is fear? By the government. That's tyranny.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. And that's exactly what I've been trying to tell these fools out there about the land grabs out here by the BLM and how they're pushing the farmers away from their land and they're using tyrannical tactics to go about doing it. And they think, oh, wait a minute, the government has the right to own this refuge. They have the right to own a third of the United States. No, they don't. They're doing it out of fear.
No, they don't.
They're doing it with fear.
There is no constitutional backing for what they're doing. They are doing it out of fraud.
Yep. And fear. And using fear against the people that, you know what, if you do not submit to what we tell you, don't become subjects. Isn't this reminiscent of the what do they call that? The feudal system. This whole United States was like set up in like a feudal system. You got the federal government as the crown. You got the state set up as like the nobles, and then you got all these peasantry running around. It just, oh my Lord! And these people are.
But see, this is what happened in 1861 when the South pulled out of the Union.
Mm-hmm.
The original organic Constitution went inert. Because when the South pulled out of the Union of Sovereign States, there was no longer a quorum to do business.
And that's when.
Therefore, it ceased.
Yeah.
And so when Abraham Lincoln came in, he was in a very bad pickle because you are the president of basically an association, because that's what it was. It was not a government. Mm-hmm. It's an association that was given specific powers to conduct specific business mm-hmm. for the unification, for the union of states. It's not a government. It never was. It was an association. It eventually got called the government. But that's what it was. It had no power except it was given to it initially for a specific and certain reason. In fact, they were so scared that the association would take on its own power and authority that's why they put in the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a restriction. You will not mess with these rights. These are rights people have. You will not mess with them. That's what it does. It does not give rights to people. It's supposed to stop the government from trying to take the rights from the people, which it has thoroughly overcome now.
Yeah, true that.
But they've overcome it because they've gotten the people to believe the lie, the myth that they are the supreme rulers of the United States. No, they're not. That's the thing. They have no power outside of Washington, D.C. They have no constitutional right outside of Washington, D.C. or territories.
Yep.
And people don't seem to be understanding this because they've been so thoroughly programmed, and they get that programming reinforced day in and day out from CNN, NBC, and on, and all those people. But there's nothing in the Constitution that first of all says that that the BLM and FBI could even exist. They're unconstitutional,
right,
in the first place.
yep.
And then you have, okay, where's the Constitution say that the federal government can own land through its subsidiary, BLM and FBI? There isn't anything. It's very specific in the Constitution. You can own land only for these 4 reasons. One is to have a base. Another, I don't have them all memorized.
Ports,
there's 4 specific.
ports, bases, batteries. Right, I got it. Yep, you're right though.
And beyond, they have no authority. So everything they're doing, the BLM, the Forest Service, that is illegal, 100% illegal.
Well, how about all of these quasi-governmental agencies creating their own subset of laws, and then they blanket under this administrative law, right? So basically they create their own law book, and, you cannot enter through this gate right here at 5 a.m. in the morning, right? If you do, I could send you to jail. Wait a minute, show me where that is in any state law book or any federal law book. Oh, it's right here in my administrative BLM handbook right here. Well, when the hell did that become law?
And who made that? Oh, well, the janitor in the back room, he wrote it down.
Right, yeah, he wrote that one day, so now that's become law. It has? Since when? But that's what the courts are operating on, administrative law. So it's just
that's
crazy.
Right. And so the thing is, in order for people to understand a constitutional judge, and there is a number of us, and we're growing, they need to understand exactly the difference between the true constitutional law, common court, and people's power as opposed to what they have been programmed and led to believe falsely. And good luck on that, but it is happening. More and more people are learning. We just keep hammering away and keep repeating the same thing. Constitutional law is, and common court is superior to everything else, period. No ifs, ands, or maybes.
Well, out of all of these judges growing, like you were saying, the constitutional judges, which is a great thing, I just wish that the amount of constitutionalists, these Americans who are willing to stand up for the Constitution, would grow, because it's going to be key in overcoming any of the brainwashing that has been going on with the American people. And that's what I noticed. The last thing I want to hit on right here is Chris Briles. I noticed that he signed his name right there, I do believe, with 2 other signatures in the community of safety right there in Burns. He seems.
That's right.
He seems to be really keying up on his Constitution here lately. He said that he's been learning a lot about the Constitution. So when I saw his name on there, I was like, "Oh, they've been really schooling this guy."
Yes, we have. We have been doing a lot, and we're trying to get more and more people to understand that they are in charge, not the government. Now, okay, and somebody's going to come up and say, hey, well, okay, you have all these so-called self-proclaimed judges. Then they start thinking, okay, what about a trial? What about, do you just get Joe Blow janitor who signed a piece of paper and he's going to be a judge over a murder trial? And, well, the thing is, it doesn't work that way. Even though you're a constitutional judge, the people still decide if they want you to be the judge on that trial.
Right.
So if you're not qualified, you will not be brought in to be a trial judge. The people decide. The grand jury decides. The judge does not decide. See, it's a whole 180-degree difference. Now, the